All right, let's do this.
Welcome first-time listeners and returners to the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. Today, we will discuss the intersection between race and sports, mental health, leadership, equality, social injustice, and white privilege. So grab your favorite deli sandwich or bagel and your favorite beverage, and let's do this together in the Sports Deli. We are joined today by some incredible SHEros and pioneers in their own right. Oh my goodness. So we have Susan Summons, legendary coach from the state of Florida. You can find her online at susansummonspeaks.com. Eileen Hauser, formerly of Nike, now with Athletes Unlimited. We have Tiffany Bullock from WomenX. You can find them online at womenx.org. They're doing amazing things. We're also joined by Molly Kasmer, Machine Gun Molly, Vice President of Legends of the Ball, and what a career she had. We're also joined by Adrian Mitchell-Newell. Oh my goodness. Legendary player from the University of Kansas and also one of the original players in the WBL. Ruthie Bolton. Oh my God, whose story of courage and inspiration you don't want to miss. And you definitely don't want to miss hearing her blow and flexing not one, but two biceps. Oh my goodness, unbelievable. Dan Hughes, former WNBA coach and champion, ally, who has come out of retirement, ladies and gentlemen, to be an assistant coach for his daughter's youth basketball team. And finally, we are joined by Retha Swindell, a legend at the University of Texas, and one of the members of the Legends of the Ball. But one in particular, today we're celebrating during this year, the 50th anniversary of Title IX, a pioneer, an influencer, and an amazingly courageous woman. 2 weeks after the 50th anniversary of Title IX, that was on June 23rd, Raye Pond's legacy work with Nike historically changed how swoosh navigated sports for women. She not only had the courage to convince Nike to value the importance of equal representation of marginalized women, in particular Black women, regarding name, image, and likeness, but how they could profit from this win-win endeavor by attracting more women and young girls globally. She was the manager of women's professional basketball at Nike in the sports marketing department, where she spent 11 years, and was the primary liaison with some of the most popular women's athletes and coaches in the world, like Cynthia Cooper, Lisa Leslie, and so many more. But before that, she was the manager of the University of Oklahoma's women's basketball program after playing her high school ball in Medford, Oklahoma.
Wow.
And before Nike, Raye worked for Billie Jean King's Women's Sports Foundation. She's always been an ally and still is, even in retirement. So ladies, all of you, and Raye in particular today, man, what an honor it is to have you in the Sports Deli Podcast, where everyone, especially women, deserve a seat at the table.
Well, thank you for that introduction. That's pretty amazing. Where'd you get that information, Liz?
Honestly, no. I mean, I listen to your podcast with Ruthie and those amazing SHEros. You know, you pick up some things here and there on the internet, but you know, Elizabeth, you jump in anytime you want, but you know, I'm always fascinated to hear people's stories, and we created a safe space here on this anti-racist equality podcast, and I've just tried to do my best to be an ally. But you know, you shared it on the last podcast that your parents were deaf and had cerebral palsy, and I'm always interested in people's upbringings and how that shaped them and the decisions that they made. You know, it's sort of a running joke in my family. I have had 6 dads. 2 of them committed suicide, and you know, that obviously has shaped me into some of the decisions, a lot of the decisions that I've made and how I see the world and the lens that I see the world with. But share with everybody, you know, how that was and how that shaped you and how you saw the world.
Well, for me, fortunately, Medford was a great town. And actually, some of my classmates' parents graduated with my dad in 1956. So I always felt comfortable in Medford. It was when we went outside of Medford that I realized that my parents were different. And you know, we'd go to Enid, Oklahoma, and people would stare at my parents and make comments, those poor kids, stuff like that. And then, you know, I just remember being 3 or 4 years old, and I lost my parents in a major supermarket, and I couldn't find them. And I couldn't scream. I couldn't do anything because they couldn't hear me. So I remember just sitting down on the floor and figured they'd come find me sometime soon. People would come up to me and I said, no, my parents are coming. My parents are coming. But, you know, I think when you have seen people get treated unjustly like that, those situations, that you kind of see other things. And I pick up on it all the time. I pick up on racism. I pick up on people being treated differently because of their handicap or just the way they look physically. And it has always been, I've always been a champion of my parents. And I think that has just carried on to whatever. I can't even tell you, when I was young, people would be staring at my parents. I would say stuff like, hey, get a camera, take a picture next time, it'll last longer. Or I just straight, why don't you quit staring at my parents? Just stop, you know? So I always was that person defending my parents and defending the deaf community, friends of theirs. But anyway, there were, you know, I didn't have the normal, you know, mom and dad, and a lot of people don't. I learned sign language before I learned how to talk. So I know all the words in sign language. And I have used them all, I think. But anyway, I think my parents also, because of their deafness, we never watched soap operas. And back then, when we first got the television, it was in the 60s, early 70s, probably when we got a television, and there wasn't the teletype. So we watched sports a lot because my dad was into sports, and that really anything that was talking like a soap opera or anything like that, we never watched that. And I think that a lot was because they were deaf. You can see action. If it was a movie, it was going to be an action movie. And those are the things that you just do when you have deaf parents. Or back then, I mean, back then we didn't even have text messages. We had the old hook the phone up to the teletype.
Right.
And half the time my parents wouldn't answer it because they didn't like doing it. So anyway, they were pretty good. I had some pretty good parents. So
I mean,
sports, they love this WNBA, and I don't know on the podcast what you heard, but you know, a lot of the athletes, well, not a lot, some of them came to Medford, Oklahoma just to meet them. And I could talk about that later. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I heard that story, man. That must have been emotional to know that they came to help support you and your parents when they needed you the most. So yeah, that's an incredible story. Hopefully we'll hear about that later. Anybody can jump in at any time. Talk about your grandmother.
My other grandmother died when my mother was born, and there was a twin. The twin died, so I never had her. But my grandmother Pond was into photography. Mm-hmm. She was always, as a young person, telling me that women had rights, that women could do this, women could do that, you know, to set my goals higher than what I was thinking I could do. And I mean, she pretty much, at a young age, she and two of her friends started the first photography shop in Winfield, Oklahoma. And usually women didn't do that. So that she had her own business. And then she married my grandfather, and they started a newspaper business in Medford, Oklahoma. So she was a strong woman. And the other thing about her is she told my grandfather, my mother's father, that they would be responsible for this family. So if my mom and dad had children, they would be there as the backup support to help take care of us. And I think we both have done pretty well. I mean, we both went to the University of Oklahoma. My brother has a master's from Stanford in engineering. He's got 2 degrees, physics, electrical engineering. He worked at Apple for years, and now he's with Adobe. And then I went on after I got encouraged to do an internship at the Women's Sports Foundation, and then ended up at Nike. And now I'm back in Kansas City, just working on projects and doing photography work.
Amazing. Coach Hughes, I appreciate you jumping on just to say hello and show love to Raye. Yeah.
Going. Yeah, you got a special guest, and I just wanted to give her a shout out. You know, I was around at near the beginning of the WNBA, and this woman had so much to do with the beginning points, and I see the fruits of her labor. And I just wanted to give her a shout out and say, you know, I was a younger coach back then. As I reflect back, Raye had an awful lot to do with the beginnings, and I think the fruits of what is happening and will happen, you know, with women in general, but specifically with women in professional basketball.
Wow. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate
Wow.
it. Wow. I appreciate that.
Not a problem. But anyway, I've got to run. I've got my grandson's got a big baseball game tonight.
Oh, look. You know,
Hi, Dan.
I understand the baseball thing.
You got some wonderful people here, but all my best. And seeing Ruthie there in the picture, golly, God bless. She spoke to my team in Seattle, and I got a championship out of that year.
That's
so
right.
You're talking to a lot of gold there. So you enjoy yourself, and all the best to y'all. All right.
Thank you, Dan. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Wow.
So you guys can jump in anytime. Eileen, I know you said your time might be limited today. Did you want to jump in and ask or share some love? You worked with Raye, obviously, and you guys have known each other a while, and you have a unique perspective on things.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I have a lot of gratitude for Raye. I started working with the Phoenix Mercury when the WNBA started in '97, and Raye and I, that was our first time we got to know each other because she had interns that came and actually worked with each of the WNBA organizations at that time. So, I got to know Raye and really got to see just her interaction with the athletes. It's one of those things, you see somebody from afar, you don't realize all these people are watching you, but obviously had a lot of eyes on Raye and what she was doing and how she was doing her job that really helped me, not only, in my job at Nike, but also while I was working with the Phoenix Mercury, and how you worked with athletes, Raye. And I mean, I learned from you because, through that intern program, through the opportunities that you provide me to volunteer at the Final Fours. I owe my career at Nike to you. And I really never had the opportunity to say that to you, but I truly do. And it was an honor to step into your shoes. It was a great run. I think, there's so many wonderful things that are happening now for women in basketball, specifically in women's pro basketball, that we're seeing that are happening at Nike. And honestly, it's really part of the fruits of your labor, my labor, and what we did there, with I was there 15, you were there 11, 26 years. And we were the only two people that were in that position. So just, thank you for kind of showing me the way and truly opening my eyes to that opportunity and what could and should be done for the women.
Well, thank you, Eileen. Wow. I remember Eileen well. We also had Tamika Catchings down there as an intern. And I think
the two interns that I worked with are still in the game. So Natalie White, who's LA Sparks, right? And Tamika, and honestly, that the experience with both of them was really special. And personally, running that Planet League, I think it was a program that was kind of before its time, and you in your position at Nike believed in it and obviously helped us with dollars and product and stuff to make that Planet League go. But I think that was something, it was cool. It was a really cool time.
Oh yeah, I remember well. It was pretty awesome, especially the Phoenix Mercury. Anytime you had
too many stories, not for this podcast.
It would take the whole day. I got so many stories about the Phoenix Mercury. Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate that. I really do.
And so for those of you that don't know, Eileen's currently the Senior Advisor of Operations at Athletes Unlimited, and what they're doing is incredible. And so that should be celebrated as well. Eileen, do you want to talk about that briefly? Because I know you guys have, is it softball that's starting now?
Yep, we're getting ready to kick off our 3rd year of softball with Athletes Unlimited. Yeah, it was actually a year ago. I was hired in this senior advisory role, which was a contract role, but got hired full time with them in March. Now as director of sport for basketball. So my primary responsibility is helping run the basketball league, but also, you know, as any startup, we're doing it. And just like the WNBA, honestly, like we're all doing a million different things. So I've been pulled into softball, and actually I'm having a blast helping the director of sport for softball. Right now I'm doing equipment. So I'm dealing with Nike on all the softball equipment. And,
oh my God.
But no, it's been fun. I can't, you know, I have no hard feelings about my experience at Nike, and I was just super, super lucky to fall into this opportunity with Athletes Unlimited. We have 2 amazing co-founders who Liz has had the opportunity to meet, 2 men that are truly vested and passionate about what women's sports can be and the investment around women's sports. And it's an honor to work for those 2 gentlemen at Athletes Unlimited. And there's a lot of great people that are part of it. And I mean, the fact that in year 2, we now have softball and lacrosse both on ESPN. I think this platform and this the way that it's all set up is only going to be more successful down the road.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Phenomenal. Long overdue. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
No, I was just said it was just very nice meeting Eileen, and I connected on LinkedIn too, but it's very nice. And then this basketball world is so small. Then I realized her relationship. I'd known about her relationship with Raye, so it was good getting to meet her. It's just a small sports world and an even smaller basketball world. So it's been good working with her and getting to know her. And we've got some things planned for the future.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I haven't really met that many people that have it. And I think all of you know what it means. You know, you have the ability to work a room, and then it's even beyond that, right? It's your ability to feel people's energy, to understand from the first thing that comes out of someone's mouth, you know, where they're at today, and listening to their stories, being a good listener, and being able to navigate spaces from people with different backgrounds. And, you know, Raye's certainly that person, whether it was men, women, you know, women of color, older women, younger women. You know, that's just what I've heard and what I've seen. I can feel it today. You know, you can just feel not just the level of swag and confidence, but just the way that she respects everybody, and what an articulate listener you are. You know, even after having done a million of these and been in the space for so long, I recognize that right away. And it's just, you know, amazing to be a part of. And so, Ruthie, I don't know if you wanted to jump in, but I wanted to ask, the thing I thought about was, you know, what you've obviously had a lot of experiences that you've drawn from, but what did you learn from Billie Jean King when you were doing your internship there that helped you on your next step at Nike?
You know what? I worked, Billie Jean King started the Women's Sports Foundation. I actually worked on Lopiano and Marge Snyder. Yeah. Our interaction with Billie Jean King was about once a year during the Women's Sports Foundation Awards. But Donna taught me Lopiano. She taught me about being organized, how to connect. As an intern, I just absorbed everything she had to say, and then I was hired full time. And the Community Awards and Grants program became my project. And Donna created this pamphlet to tell you how to connect people to other people and how that works. And then how you can form a committee and make a change. And the Community Awards and Grants program became my project. And Donna created this pamphlet to tell you how to connect people to other people and how that works. And then how you can form a committee and make a change in a city like Kansas City has the Women's Intersport Network. And some of these ladies came because they honored me in February. But it was connecting people and strong women that could, when they get together, they can create amazing things and amazing events and recognize other women. How do we fix this? And how do we do this? And like at Camp Win here in Kansas City, how do we get girls more involved in sports? And so then all of a sudden we have women working together, and we're creating something that's bigger than us. And I think through that allowed me, when I got to Nike, is to identify those people that I had worked at before. Like, for instance, let's just use Auburn. When the national team went there, we knew that we wanted to have a crowd there. We knew we wanted to have family there. We knew we wanted to do grassroots efforts. Because of contacts I had before, I could reach out to those people and say, hey, we want to do this. We want to do that. I think with Mighty Ruthie, we had 4 busloads of people that came from Mississippi, McLean, Mississippi. 154 people came. So what do you do with 154 people? Well, you connect with the church, and you connect with the church, and then they're the ones that are going to feed these 154 people. And then you say, you know what? They can all sing. So let's have them sing at halftime.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And so it was an amazing event. And it was great to have all the friends and family of Ruthie there at the game. And because they were all coming, then you get the community gets behind it. And next thing you have is something magical, and it's bigger than the game itself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome, Raye. Raye, you know what? The shirts y'all gave us, some of my family still wear those shirts. Some of the people, they still have that shirt. And so anyway, it's just, to me, words is to even articulate how much Raye has meant to not just the women of basketball, but also our family. You know, my family consider her like a sister, and they always refer to her the Nike lady. The Nike lady, she's so nice. Like she was so touchable. It's like she was big. It's like she does so many things magical. They were expecting you to be like 6'10", and like, you know, because you were with arms like a mile long, because you did so much. And to see her, but my dad got a chance to just, you know, which is so precious. But my dad, who's passed on, got a chance to see the magic and got a chance to see how awesome, how amazing Nike was to our family, and also. So it's just been great. And Raye, one word, if I had to describe a word with Raye, has been, I would say, consistent. You know, I could only imagine what you've had to go through, especially dealing with me, managing so many people, and you was able to consistently be you, consistently be a person that was easy to connect with. You know, you did your business, you did what you had to do, but just the pedigree of leadership and community, and just a person that would just also, we got a chance to see that soft side, that genuine side. Because sometimes you're doing business and you manage people, you got to be like a bulldog, barking all the time, and you got to be like, you know, you come off abrasive, but you did what you had to do without being abrasive and without being negative, without insulting, which is beautiful. It's a sweet spot of our relationship. So I thank you, you know, beyond words. And I know if my dad was, you know, on behalf of my family, we say thank you. And you definitely deserve to be a Hall of Famer, like 2 times, you know. And just thank you so much, Raye. And just it was so good to saw you back in February, all the memories. But yeah, we just appreciate you, you know. And like I said, my shirt says bold. Bold looks good on me, and bold looks good on you, and just Raye looks good on you. You know, just who you are, what you stand for, and just meant a lot. So it's an easy conversation to me to talk about you being a Hall of Famer, because you deserve it beyond words. So thank you, love you.
Oh.
I had to give you a flex, Raye. Sorry. Hey, you know what,
She
Raye?
showed her bicep.
Hey,
That's
Raye,
what I'm talking about.
I don't let many people interrupt my office. I'm at the gym. I don't let many people interrupt my gym time, but I'll do it for you, and I'll have to give you 2 of them, okay? I'm sorry, yeah. So,
all right,
yeah,
thank you, Ruthie.
Yeah.
Michael, before Ruthie leaves, Michael, I just want to talk, and we talked to Ruthie about it. everywhere we go when we're around the players, and that 1996 documentary, of course, gave us a lot of insight into all that went on. What was missing is where was Raye? Because everything they talked about
Yes.
was, if not for Raye. Everywhere we go and they're in attendance, they interrupt, they get off script. Sue Bird got off script at the win for KC, and they go, if not for Raye. So I think the biggest testament to what she did to get all this started is, as Ruthie just alluded to, and all the women on that 96 team, all the collegians that followed. Tarasi, we talked to her at the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. She was like, what do I need to do, to get Raye into the Hall of Fame? So don't listen to us. You don't have to listen to me. We nominated Raye for the Basketball Hall of Fame. Listen to the women, Ruthie, and all the women whose lives she impacted on and all up to this day. Your premier players today are still saying, if not for Raye. So I just appreciate what Ruthie said. And I know the story. I know the backdrop. I know the story. And it seems like others need to know it.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Galloway-McQuitter, president of the Legends of the Ball, whose knowledge about this and professional women's basketball is unparalleled. Go ahead, Ruthie.
And you know what? And Raye room got proof. How many people got a room like Raye room? HERstory. So the evidence is right there. I saw some things. I was like, man, how you get that? Where this come from? But of course, I'm like, it was a reminder of the history and where all of the places you've touched and the people you've touched and how you changed. You stood in the gap for us back in the day. Really, there are a lot of things we asked and we're asked, and Raye said, okay, let me see if I can do it. You always try to push the envelope for us, and you did it. And if without you, it would, that experience of what we did in '96, we would not have been able to do that without the support, you carried us on your shoulders in some aspect. You carried us, and like I said, the evidence is in that room and all the things you got in there. Yeah, thank you.
Ruthie, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Appreciate you being here so much. Two-time Olympian and retired WNBA star, motivational speaker, podcast host. When Doug Williams came on the show, he said, when there's a white ally, he doesn't care about anything else. There's just something about a white ally that changes things when it comes to people of color, seeing them, especially today. And I wanted to ask you about that. You sort of just spoke about it, but did you recognize that back then, that because it was a lot harder to navigate the spaces that, you were navigating back then with misogyny and the double standard and, and she didn't care about any of those things. She was just going to do the right thing. But did you see her differently because she was a white ally?
I feel like I actually sometimes think about it, I forgot Raye was white at times. I'm like, what she did for all of us? I was like, oh, she's a white lady. Oh, okay. The way we talk about you, if we didn't tell them about your color, they thought you was, because you stood in the gap for us all. Like, seriously,
Right.
At the time, I was still young. But as I've got older, I look back and I'm like, wow, to me, it's even more amazing now to know what you did and how you did it. You could see things that we couldn't see. I was still green with a badge, cherry curl, and back then. But you saw things that we couldn't see. But I appreciate you standing the gap, that you didn't see color, that you just like, I want to really elevate these women. And to me that's a beautiful thing. So to me it just it's so impactful, and I'm so thankful even more today because I'm wiser, and now I see really like, wow, what you did. Just I say, wow, like thank you so very much. And just that aspect alone should be enough. How you try to advocate for somebody, you try to make something. It's like it's not even it's not trying to put a triangle in a square. What you did is so obvious. I'm like, it even a blind man can see it or say, but no, to me what you did was just phenomenal. And I appreciate you tremendously. And just I was the last player to be added to the Nike group when I was I think I remember Tara talking about they had one more spot, and I think Tara advocated for it too. But anyway, Raye, how you embraced my family. I know you went outside the line with my family, because we were always wanting something. We was always wanting push the envelope. but thank you so much for always, loving on us and really just the whole women. And even now you got the younger generation, 25 years later, Tarasi and Bird, all these players. So to me, what else is there to say? Like what, do we need to put billboards up? Like what else is there when you got the former players and the new generation of players saying, hey, Raye, we couldn't have done this without Raye. So to me, I appreciate, thank you so much. And after the documentary, Tarasi texted me and said, thank you for carrying us on your shoulders. And so, and I said, no, thank you. We passed the torch on to some amazing women. So Raye, I say, thank you for carrying us. Even though you didn't make one basket, you won a lot of games for us. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank
Mike,
you.
Mike, I'd like to just take a moment and ask Ruthie, if you could just share just a small part of the tune of your voice that resonates so much power in the love that Raye Pond has in her heart. Could you just share that tune? You are so wonderful, or you are. Can you?
Oh, you know what? And speaking of tune too, Raye the one was behind the documentary, not the documentary, but the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Mighty Ruthie and with my family, y'all flew. Well, y'all couldn't fly everybody down, but y'all flew a great number of of my family to LA to do the Nike commercial, and that was just, my family still talk about it to the day. Like there's just like, it was just such a beautiful experience, and yeah, before my phone clock out, to me it's an honor to be able to say, and to be able to, like I said, it was hard for me to articulate, to be able to say, Raye, for all the years and for all the things you've done and all the barriers you broke through for us, I just want to say, you are so wonderful to me. You are so wonderful to me. You're everything that I hope for. You're everything that I need. Raye, you are so wonderful to me. Love you, Raye.
Goodness.
Thank you, Ruthie.
Thank you, Ruthie.
Thank you, Ruthie.
We'll go work on those guns.
That's amazing.
That was awesome.
Raye, you and I, we had an opportunity to connect at the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018, but our path and our bridge and our journey crossed long before that with Nike. Sue Levin, the global marketing manager, the global marketing mogul. It's an honor to be able to be on this podcast show with Mike, all of these powerful women, legends, history makers and shakers, policy makers and doubters, but to be a part in this moment in time on your journey, because you've always been a woman that has speaked up for what's fair, speaked up for what's right, and speaked up to be heard for all women in women's sports and women's basketball and women's professional basketball. And many years ago, I used to write a letter repeatedly to you and Sue Levin at Global National Nike as the marketing managers. And I was running this huge popular league in South Florida, 26 high school girls teams, one of the largest in South Florida. When I moved here from the Boston and New York area, they didn't have any girls programs. And I said, look, I need some help. I got a girls program here, a community here. We're gonna get it going. We're gonna grow this community. We're gonna grow these programs. We're gonna increase the talent. And I started writing letters to you and Sue Levin at Nike about the program. And you and I connected at the Hall of Fame. We reconnected because people come in and out of your lives in seasons. When it's time. And we chatted and it was like an empowering session. And you said, I was cleaning up my box and I came across this letter, and it was a letter from you, Susan. And I had kept that letter all these years. And when I was invited by Richard Lapchick, my good friend, to be the chair of one of the sports women panels at the NCAA Women's National Convention, That is when Sue Levin and you were there. I didn't know you were there. You were in the backdrop, watching me chair. On the panel was Nancy Lieberman. It was a great, legendary, stellar cast. And I was a national chair. And they said, we need you to do this for the Center of Sports and Society. I said, absolutely. And after that event, I got a call from Sue Levin and yourself. And Nike signed me to my first 6-year contract as a coach and the first ever national junior college, community college coach in the country to have a contract with Nike. And the rest is history. And you have always, across the gamut of women's sports, women's marketing, women's media, women's professional basketball, the WBL. I take you wherever I go when I'm speaking on the road with SusanSummonSpeaks.com. I'm on a tour right now for Rise in Gratitude. We're touring 6 cities to combat human and sex trafficking. But sports has always been that platform and the bridge to address issues of racism. And I've always looked at you as Raye Pawn. I never saw your color. I looked at you first as the woman you are and the heart that you have, because love is kind. Love doesn't hate. This is Corinthians.
All
love
right.
is not blind, and love does not discriminate. Love just loves and sees who you are and helps you. And you have always have reached back to pull someone through. Someone would say, well, when you take the elevator up, don't forget to send the elevator back down so someone else can take the elevator back to the top.
Amen.
I love it.
And I don't think we do that enough
Amen.
in women. I don't think women do this enough, is empowering each other. It doesn't matter who they are, where they are, whether they're a CEO or diversity, inclusion, or women's sports media or marketing. The concept is men do this all the time. Women need to do more of it. They need not worry about the competition, but yet get into the competition and enjoy it and make everybody better. So I am honored and I'm humbled to take a moment to be on this podcast show with you and all of these amazing people and women who are leaders, to honor you and tell you thank you. You are a Hall of Famer. So I've always looked to you as a woman of love. I've never seen you as first a white woman. I've seen you as a woman.
Amen.
And I just
Amazing.
wanted to say thank you. I am honored. I applaud you. I bless you. And I continue to send many blessings your way. When the prayers go up, nothing but blessings rain down on you. And that is what's raining down on you, even as we talk on this podcast show. So I thank you, and I'm honored to be on this platform with everyone that's honoring you. And I want to give a special shout out and thank you to my friend, Mike, Hooter Productions, and my dear friend, Ruthie. We're always communicating. And Liz, Retha, everyone that's on, Tiffany, you know, just keep rising like the sun that shines on you.
You know, that was amazing. Elizabeth, you talk about this a lot, about how we know the history of the men's game, but we don't know the history of the women's game the same way. And so, you know, maybe you can speak on that in a minute. But I wanted to ask you before Ruthie left, if she doesn't have to go yet, you know, and Susan mentioned Dr. Lapchick, who we've had on this show also. We've also had Judy Sweet, who was invited today, but she had a prior commitment. You know, when I think of the three of you allies, you know, Judy talked about this a lot, about how as the athletic director at UCSD, there was a lot of pushback, to say the least. And so can you give everyone an idea of what that pushback was like? I mean, she got pushback at UCSD, and I can't really imagine what the pushback was like at Nike as a white woman. So give everyone an idea of what that was like and how you stood your ground, because Ruthie and Susan sort of touched on it, and how you navigated that space, you know, carefully but assertively.
Well, first of all, thank you, Susan. I appreciate those words. That was really touching. I think Sue Levin was my boss at Nike, and she was a bulldog. And I don't know if this gets back to Nike, but she would she tells me she doesn't remember half of this stuff, but she would tell me to go over there on the men's side. Well, first of all, Liz Dolan said, how come we don't have a women's shoe? How come Cheryl Swoops doesn't have a shoe? She just scored all these points, won the national championship, air swoops, it all just fits. So she literally pulled out women's from men's. So we had our own budget. We were able to do our own things. And Sue would tell me, go over there and find out how much we pay so-and-so. And then we're going to compare that to what we pay our coaches, like Tara Vanderveer, Marion Washington, Vivian Stringer. I can go on, the list can go on and on. And then we realized that the women weren't getting paid that much. So we were able to adjust numbers because we had our own budget. Now, had they been back in that category, that wouldn't have happened. And I think for us, there was a push, and we had a corporate push for 96 to make that the game about women. And it wasn't just the women's basketball team, it was the soccer team, it was the softball team, it was the volleyball team. And we put all our might, marketing through advertising, community events, ads, print ads, footwear, apparel. And we were fortunate. Then what happened was, you're always fighting for the dollar. So when we went back into the category, I remember not even being able to get autograph cards. And I'd be in a meeting and I'll be like, you can't even give me money for autograph cards? What the heck? So what are you doing? And we couldn't do something for Cheryl Swoops after she retired. Well, what did we do for Charles Barkley? He had a big old deal. And it was just a continual fight. And I would just say, well, okay, well, how come you're doing that over here and I can't do this over here? And it became a challenge. It really did. And I don't know if Eileen's still with us, but I'm sure she had some struggles after I left. But you'll have to say whatever you can say. I'm a little sensitive because I had some men that were really advocates for women. But in a meeting I had, they said to me, I was ganged up on, that I had to need to pull back a little bit. And so they told me the priorities. Number 1 was LeBron. Number 2 was Kobe. Number 3 was like Duke men's basketball. I said, just stop. Well, am I even on the top 10 list? And our women were not. And then that's when I call out the rallying cry and I start talking to different women. This ain't right. And then, you start getting all that happening. But, and then, at some point, my parents got sick, so I left. So I wasn't, I couldn't take up that fight. That's where Eileen took up the fight for me. Because, when you have to have parents and your dad has cancer and your mom can't walk, she got all those issues. I finally had to just say, I got to leave. But I did have a struggle the last couple of years of being at Nike. And that's because our budgets were put back together. When they were separate, you don't answer to that other side. Eileen?
I just have one story. To add, Raye. And I'm not going to get dig into all of it, but it was before the 2008 Olympics, and Nike was paying for a Slam magazine cover. And on that cover, they were planning to have, I think it was Kobe as Carmelo, and I can't remember whether it was LeBron or it was another guy. And there was 3 guys. And I was saying, why can't we put Diana on that cover? You can't tell me that by putting Diana Taurasi on that cover in 2008, you are going to sell less magazines because she's on the cover, right? Like, and it doesn't cost anymore. These are already created photos. They were just putting it all together. It's not going to cost Nike any more money to put Diana on the cover of that Slam magazine before the 2008 Olympics. And I think that was probably the one that just took me, that I got frustrated about, and I will say, as time has went on, things are changing there now. And, it's been kind of a bummer not to be a part of that change, but I know, to Raye's point, we fought for that change for 25, 26 years. And now it's finally starting to happen, and it's great to see. But that Slam magazine thing, like, I was so frustrated and disheartened, and I just couldn't understand. It's not costing any more money, because that, to Raye's point, like, money wasn't really an object. And they're not going to sell less magazines with Diana. If anything, you're going to sell more magazines, because now you have a woman on there,
Right.
and you have girls that are going to be interested in this magazine as well. I just couldn't understand the reasoning behind that. So that was my one story I will share.
Yeah. No, and I will tell you this. We had a meeting, and this is before Eileen, and we had a meeting with the president, Tom Clark, and he wanted to talk with the women. And so we go in this meeting, and there are my coworkers in sports marketing, and he started talking about what they were doing for women. And so I don't know why I did this, but I think at some point you just kind of like, okay, so I raised my hand and I said, can you tell me why men get paid more than the women when they do the same job? And he was like, what? I said, I just need for you to go look at the spreadsheet and see that the women that are even in football and baseball, whatever category they're in, their male counterparts, I bet you, are making more money than we were. And at that time, I knew somebody that came in our department that was quite a bit younger than me, didn't have the qualifications, and is probably making 3 times as much as I was. So I really struggled with that side of it. And you know what? I'll give Tom Clark a lot of credit. He said, you know what? We're going to stop this meeting right now, because I need to go find out what's going on. And he called me in his office, and he said, tell me how just tell me what you think. And so I broke it down for him, how all the women felt when you bring somebody in new, and they may have a name, or they might be connected to a celebrity or one of the athletes. And because they're connected, they're getting paid more, which I couldn't understand. So that was one other whole aspect of that. And I do believe that there are women there that were in that meeting that have elevated up the corporate ladder and are still there. And I had one reach out to me not long ago and tell me, hey, if you hadn't said that day, I don't think I'd be where I'm at. And so, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you have to say something. You just have to. And it doesn't matter. To me, it didn't matter if I got fired. I had to say something. And so I did.
Well, Raye, I mean, because of people like you, Dr. Lapchick, Judy Sweet, and many, many others, people of color and white allies, that's why it's easier to speak out now. It's way easier. And if anything, if you don't speak out now, because of people like you who took that chance, then you're looked at as an outcast for not speaking out now. And now you have example after example, whether it's the 2020 election with the W, protesting, all of what you all did is why speaking out now is so much easier. And, Kim Hampton is there now, Auntie Chantel is there now. There's other people at Nike now because of you, and there's others, from the W representing. And if it wasn't for you two in particular, they wouldn't be where they are, and many others as well. So don't think it hasn't gone unnoticed.
Well, thank you. And I will tell you, I think Sonia Henning's been a big part of that, bringing in the WNBA athletes. And if they do what they're supposed, if they work and show their talent, and they do that, they'll be hired on permanently. And I think what they're doing now with the athletes, the women, is amazing, especially, I love those chicks like Kim Hampton. Cheryl Swoops is there too.
Yeah, Cheryl.
So it's pretty amazing. I think it's a great program that they have going on right now.
Can you talk about Dawn and Becky and their impact just in women's sports, basketball, and just as women?
Yeah, I will tell you, this is, when I look at these WBL athletes, I see their impact and what they did, playing. And there were athletes before them that were on AAU teams and weren't able to play because they were Black, so I see that. My thing with getting back to Dawn, I guess, let me get back to your question. I'm kind of going off center.
You can go in another direction first. Yeah.
No, I see that. I see their impact, because they all became coaches. They all were involved in sports, like Susan and Liz. I can go on and on. I think Peggy is on here, Aretha, they all, Molly, they continue to pass the game on to young people, and so it started way before me.
Right.
And it's amazing. Their legacy lives on through athletes like Dawn Staley, Becky Hammond. For me, Dawn was the first athlete I signed at Nike. To see her coaching at the level she's coaching now, back when I was at Nike, we all called her coach. We had banners that said, call her coach, because we knew that she'd go into coaching. And so I kind of feel like, the program we had just came to where it was supposed to be with her, and she just continues on. And it's amazing. And I think her advocacy work is incredible. What she's done for the Black Lives Matter movement and what she's doing right now for Brittany Griner. I know what Brittany Griner did today, what she said she was guilty. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's behind the scenes. And I think we'll find out more later on, but I'm glad there's movement on that. And I feel like with Dawn, she didn't care what anybody else said. She continued to fight for Brittany Griner and keep reminding us that she is still there. And I can't even tell you what Brittany Griner has done for my own nieces. And I think I'll post something on Facebook. But when my nieces were into basketball and they're like in 7th and 8th grade, they thought Brittany Griner hung the moon. So I would take them to the Big 12 tournament, and her influence on them. And then one of them is Sydney Kemp. She now plays at Sam Houston State. So you can see how it just, everybody affects everybody somewhere down the line. And it is an amazing thing. I feel like with Dawn, even when I worked at Nike, they would be in China playing the Brazil team, or playing, especially the Cuban team. And she would call me and say, you're going to be really upset with me. And I'm like, why? What did you do? So, all that specialized gear, we gave them the shoes and the product and all that. She would give it to the Cuban team. And you know why? Because they didn't have anything. They didn't have the shoes. They didn't have the warm-up gear. So she would get all her teammates together and donate everything they had, which meant I had to replace it all. And I did. But when she puts it in that perspective, that we are so blessed that we need to help them, that's what happened, and she's just a giver. I mean, she's got a great heart. And anyway, I can't even tell you how many times I replaced gear because of the Cuban national team.
I mean, what the story that we saw, that how she gave a part of the net to all the amazing coaches around the country and trying to inspire them to keep going, no matter what. I mean, humble beginnings for her too. I mean, just amazing.
I was just talking to somebody today about her mother, and she was the strength of her family. And what she has done with the net thing is amazing. I will tell you, when my dad was sick with cancer, the first person that flew on a plane, got out there, was Dawn Staley. She was in the waiting room and playing with my little niece and nephew. And my nephew now is a Marine. He's in Okinawa. And when Dawn won that championship, I sent that little picture of them on the floor with Dawn playing. He was like, oh my God, wow. It was just like, he was so happy for her. But you know what she also did? She came back and she spoke at my father's funeral. And it was just amazing, because not only she came back for my father's funeral, but Madeline Manning Mims did. And both of them said, we want to do this, and Dawn always had a rubber band. And you guys are going to have to, is it Maurice Cheeks that did that? The band?
I think it was Mo Cheeks. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, she, when we did the mural, there wasn't a band. I had to get these guys to go paint a band on that big mural we did in Philadelphia.
Mm.
I bring that up because when she spoke at my dad's funeral, she said, Maurice Cheeks is my hero on the basketball court, but in life, it's your dad.
Mm.
Your father is like another father to me, and he is my inspiration in life. And so I realized then that my parents had an impact on them. And I will tell you, even before that, she said, I got to meet your parents. And we went with Linda Hargrove. She was the coach at Wichita State at the time. And a really good friend of mine had a golf club membership. So we decided to get my parents together, get them on a golf cart. My mom couldn't walk, so we strapped her in. Dawn and I strapped her in, just thought it'd be great. We're going to go play golf with my dad. So he gets up and he goes and he's acting like he's Tiger Woods. And he totally woofed the ball, totally missed it. So my mom is hackling so loud. And if you heard a deaf person hackle, when they're laughing, they are so loud because they don't hear themselves. I think the whole city of Wichita could hear him. Dawn, being who she is, not trying to make him feel bad, she gets up there and does the same thing, acting like Tiger Woods, spotting the ball and looking behind the ball, testing the wind and all that.
Oh my God.
And then she woofs it on purpose. She totally woofs it on purpose. And then you think my mom started cackling. I thought she was going to turn the golf cart over. She laughing so hard. And we had her strapped in there pretty good. But that's the type of person she is. She wasn't going to make him feel bad. And it wasn't that important. It was just whiffing at a golf ball.
Mm.
So I've had her she's going to always stand up for what's right. And, I've seen it personally. For Becky Hammond, I think it's amazing. I'll be honest, like a lot of people, I was kind of hoping she'd be the first NBA coach. But I think she's going to do great things. I think she remains calm, cool, collected. She knows the game inside and out. I mean, I think what she is giving and delivering to the Las Vegas Aces is going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a great ride, and I look forward to seeing them win a championship. I really do. And I believe it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Elizabeth, do you have anything that you want to talk about, whether it's mental health or the documentary, and how instrumental you've been in making that happen and making sure that, we don't forget, the people that came before everybody, especially the legends that are on the podcast today?
Well, for all of us who played in the WBL, who are basically after the 2018 induction, we realized that our history wasn't fully known, if at all. So that's when Legends of the Ball was formed, and it's been a labor of love, sometimes frustration, but mostly just love and determination. And things are happening. We're getting exposure. We were in 37 words. We even Molly, there was a clip of some games in the 1996 documentary. We have people talking about it. We're knocking on the door with the WNBA and others, trying to just basically connect the dots, fill in the gaps, and tell the history correctly. It's omissive, it's inaccurate, and it's not fair to us or any generation who contributed to this sport or anything. And as African Americans, we've been left out, and we know what that feels like. And to find out that history, we feel if people really knew this history, they would be inspired. And I want to say this, I keep saying this because the men know who they're 75 years, celebrating 75 years. They go back and honor Bill Russell, all those who are still alive and those who passed on. They cement them on this timeline and they bring them forward with them. They bring them along. And that's why their history is known. The women don't do that. Part of it is they don't know it. So a big part of what we're trying to do is just educate people. But the other part is once you do know it, and I've talked to Ruthie, I don't know if Ruthie's still on, and Rusha, and we said, you guys have to help tell our story because you already have become the new forgotten. And I know one thing Rusha Brown, the Retirement Association, is they don't recall those women who started the WNBA 26 years ago. We've had a program with SHEros Swoops my kids didn't know who she was, or Cynthia Cooper or Jennifer Gillum. So until we fix it, it's just going to be generation after generation who's forgotten and not included. Every era has contributed something. And that's all we're saying. We are Title IX. We are the Title IX era, and the AIAW era, and the WBL era, and the first women's Olympic team era, and the first Wade Trophy winner, and the first to receive scholarships, and the first African Americans on their teams. You got Retha and Janie on here. And Susan, I don't know if you were the first, but almost everybody in our era were the first African American. Retha was just celebrated in a Title IX event. Adrian's still second all-time leading scorer and rebounder at Kansas. Molly, all the records that she holds. Susan, and we included Susan on this week because of her coaching, 35 years of coaching, all of us over 1,000 years of coaching contributing to the game. So it's such a rich history, so many layers that have yet to be peeled back, and it's worth a documentary of its own. It's worth being included in these documentaries that talk about women's history. Raye, we connect with Raye because of the agony that's in our hearts of our contributions not being acknowledged. We feel that agony for Raye in all the contributions she's made, and it's not acknowledged. So when we nominated her for the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and we did our homework and we tried to, why isn't Raye Pond in the Hall of Fame? Or why hasn't? And a lot of people just don't know. So we hope this podcast and other things that we do will serve as a testament to what she's done and validate her nomination and why we feel that she should be in the Hall of Fame. And I said again, don't take our word for it. Ask the players, ask those women. Ask them what she did to move the game forward. And my counterparts who are on here, Molly, Adrian, Retha, Susan, Peggy, Gillum, anybody want to chime into that? But the WBL was a viable league. And I listened to Val Ackerman in the 37 Words documentary. She said one thing that separated us as a league was the group of women, influential women that we produced. Yeah. So, and we weren't the only league. We also like to acknowledge those who came after us, who kept chipping away and trying to start this league until we finally got the ABL and then the WNBA. So there were other leagues that came after us that I'm sure they have the same pain in their heart of not being recognized for attempting, because with every attempt, it made the climb a little easier for the WNBA.
Absolutely. And I invited Val, I invited Pokey, I invited Coach Wade. There's a lot of people I invited today, Raye, just so you know. They have games or shoot-arounds or, they're in conversations right now, but just know they all send their love, especially Val.
Thank you. I will tell you one thing that I admire about the Major League Baseball is they took the Negro Leagues, their players, and used those statistics.
Yep.
I struggle lately when I hear this athlete did this and that, right? And we forget about the Cheryl Millers. And when you talk about the athletes that played overseas and were MVP in the Italy League and whatever, and you do the breadth of their career, and their statistics, some of these current statistics don't even compare to what they did overseas.
Right.
And sometimes I think we forget that, they shot a lot of basketballs and went in, and I think about that all the time, especially with Major League Baseball, because I think it's incredible what they did. I think it's great.
Well, then there's room for inclusion, and it makes the history richer. It makes the history more broader, a lot more depth to it, and it's factual and it's accurate.
Right.
History is history, and you can't omit people who played a part in it.
Raye, I got to ask you about some of the memorabilia. So share with everybody what's over your right and left shoulders back there, and maybe some of the most memorable things back there historically.
Well, to my right, the first panel, one of the smaller panels, the columns are the 1996 Olympic team, the 2000 Olympic team, and the 2004. They inspired me. One of them is George Raveling. On this side I have the people at Nike that I admired. Howard White. Those two men mentored me, and it was incredible. Ralph Green mentored me too. you know, I put them right up there with Sue Levin and Liz Dolan. And Marnie Gerber was the first person, she did Sheryl Swoopes' shoes. So I have them over there. The women's group was amazing. Cindy Fontenot, Dana Harrington, Michelle Burnett, all the work that they did, Nancy Montserrat over advertising. I could go on and on and on about that women's group. They were powerful, powerful women. I also have women that inspired me. One of them, I just had Adrian sign my Kansas ball. But
Yes.
as a manager at Oklahoma, Marion Washington saw something in me and had me come work the KU women's basketball camps during the summer. And that's where I met Lynette and Jackie Martin. And then, you know, when Lynette went on to be one of the first female Harlem Globetrotter, you know, I have her ball. I don't know if you guys can see all that, but I have the WBL athletes on top because I just love them. They're dear to my heart. And yeah, so I have Pat Head Summit stuff that she gave me. Shamiqua and I feel like I'm close to Shamiqua, and you know, she just went into the Washington Mystics Hall of Fame. And I think through her, you know, Pat and I developed a great relationship. And in between, you know, I have Ruthie up here. I have her basketball. I have, you know, Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson, Sheryl Swoopes, Michelle Timms, Jennifer Gillum, and Peggy Gillum. Lisa Leslie. I have almost all Lisa's shoes. I have Shamiqua Holtzclaw, Tamika Catchings, Becky Hammond, all LA Sparks players, Jackie Stiles, Betty Lennox always gets forgotten and she was great.
Yes, she was.
She was great.
Tremendous player.
Warren Jackson, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi. I have quite a few. I'm sure I'm missing.
Unbelievable.
That is a women's basketball Hall of Fame.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 10th anniversary team, Katie Smith. The 10-year anniversary team was, I have that right there. I don't know if you guys can, let me see if I can get this turned around. But I have all these prints too, like Shamiqua's wall. Can you see all that?
Oh yeah.
So Dawn Staley, Sheryl Swoopes, Yolanda Griffith, Lauren Jackson, Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson, Tamika Catchings, Sue Bird, Cynthia Cooper, and Katie Smith. They were all Nike athletes. And,
I mean, it looks like you've got the best Hall of Fame venue right
Yeah, I
now.
was gonna say you could host some tours there.
And, so they were the 10th anniversary team, and and then I have I have quite a bit on Ruthie, and Ruthie, I was at her father's funeral, and we wanted to help out in some way, so we kind of helped with funeral cars. But then I realized there's not enough cars. There were 85 grandchildren, and it didn't even include the great grandchildren, the great grandchildren. But there were a lot of people there, and when you have 19 brothers and sisters, 20 of them, it is an amazing deal. It really is. So,
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I forgot you had done that, Raye. Yeah, see, it just keep on growing and growing. You just, really, I forgot that.
Yeah, and I wish I had this commercial keyed up. I know Ruthie has it. We went the whole day shooting some stuff, and then I tell the guy, I said, they can sing. And so they just said, yeah, let's sing Mighty Ruthie. And so the next thing I know, we totally went off script and did a commercial just on Ruthie singing Mighty Ruthie. And
Unreal.
Yeah. What happened to all the other stuff, Raye? All the other stuff y'all shot for 2.5 days.
2.5 days.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable. And then we took the very thing at the end where she was singing, and it was just magical. It was great. Even the Phoenix Mercury used it when Jennifer Gillum, Mighty Mercury, and I'm like, they just stole that from Ruthie. But it was great, and that was a really, really great ride. And I would tell you, like with Dawn Staley, when she carried the flag in 2004, I was scared for her. The terrorist. We had Secret Service with us, and they grabbed me and Lisa Leslie's mother and had us look at pictures. and I didn't recognize anybody, but then you realize might be somewhere where somebody might try to hurt an American. We were in China and we had to have our bus swept underneath with cameras, make sure there wasn't anything underneath the buses. But, when you go to Atlanta, and I felt like I thought Chris Leslie was out where the bomb went off. And it was just some scary moments through the years. But if you think about the athletes, two of the athletes that signed with Nike and that I worked with carried the U.S. flag. And that's an amazing, Dawn Staley and Sue Bird. Just a great ride. That was just, when you see them carrying that flag, there's nothing, I don't think that's probably one of the best moments ever is to watch them. Anyway, I gotta tell you, I love the moms too. The moms are great. They probably my favorite out of everybody, and the dads. So
Go ahead, Susan.
Raye, I'd like to ask you, I've had the honor and pleasure over the years of serving as an assistant coach with USA Basketball when Lynn Berry and Rick Berry family, and I was an assistant with the World Championship trials, the USA European tour, when we toured Tel Aviv, Israel, and Strasbourg and Mulhouse, France. We had Tina Thompson, Charlotte Smith, and Sylvia Crowley.
They were Nike athletes too, yeah.
Yeah, Nike athletes. And then we did another tour when we worked with USA Olympic Sports Festival, and I was working with Paul Sandiford, who went into the Hall of Fame this past summer, and we worked alongside of and across side of Gino. And so I wanted to ask you, with Nike and with all of these phenomenal athletes with Nike and USA Basketball, can you speak a little bit to the patriotic feeling of USA Basketball and what that really means to the whole conglomerate?
Well, it was like for me in Atlanta, we were all in this together. It was all about winning that gold medal, especially in Atlanta. And we wanted every one of our teams to win that gold medal. And for me, probably when that U.S. women's soccer team won, because I took care of Mia Hamm and Sarah Ralph and Anna Tiffany Milbert for a couple of weeks till it was just, okay, I can't do both teams. I got to take care of the basketball team. But I don't think there is a better feeling. I mean, it's like my heart exploded, when I saw Lisa Leslie tearing up on that stand. She had that gold medal, especially that team. And I know the soccer team played a lot together to try to be ready for Atlanta. What those women went through in that 60-game road trip, that was hard. It was hard. So when you see them playing at the level they were, now look, I will tell you, Sue Levin went to Colorado Springs and those chicks were in a dormitory. Sue Levin came back to Nike and said, "What are you going to do about this?" I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, do you think they would let Michael Jordan stay in the dormitory?" I said, "No." She goes, "So what are you going to do about it?" I said, "Okay, get them a condo." Good answer. What else? Get them a car. They're going to have a washer and dryer. I mean, she kept going, "What else you going to do? What else you going to do?" And I will tell you, Beth Bass is at Converse. She said, "Oh man, what are you doing? I don't have the budget for this, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Well, you know what? You and Reebok, they can do whatever." Beth said, "No, I want to be on board with you." And so we ended up changing that for the athletes. The whole team got to stay in a condo. They didn't have to stay in the dormitory anymore and share showers and toilets and all that stuff. Wow. So from the beginning of that, we wanted it to be different for them because we knew what they were going to go through for 60 games. They came to, this is another part. I have so many moments. I probably need to write a book, but they came to Nike and of course they got some guys to play them. And Phil Knight came down and the women beat them by 20 points. I mean, they weren't missing a pass. I mean, they were so fine-tuned. Nobody was beating them. And I just remember Lisa getting popped in the right here and then got popped in the mouth. And so she said, "Hey, I need you to come over here she got hit in the mouth and she's on the sideline. She said, look at my mouth. Don't let them see you looking. You tell me if my teeth are still there. I looked at her, they're still there. She goes, okay. So she went back in that game and she elbowed that dude. And I hope he doesn't watch this either. I didn't say his name, but you know, he was all talk, but he got a whack to him. But when you see them doing that and then you see Phil Knight, like, oh my God, they're really good. They're amazing. And so we felt like Russia and Australia were their biggest competitions and competitive teams. And it was great. You know, the downside of the Olympics is that you get your product at the very last minute. Dawn Staley's shoes were too short. I think I was crying because we made it through it. And I was at a cobbler every morning and we were stretching the shoe to make it fit for Dawn Staley. And I know she wasn't happy, but I was doing everything in my power to make sure those shoes fit. And when they won, I was like, thank you, Jesus, this is over. I really was. But, you know, I have story after story of, you know, I don't know, you know, it's about team. It was, everybody was part of that team, you know, everybody, the assistant coaches. I tell you right now, Renee Brown, she kept that together, right, Mighty Ruthie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Renee Brown. If it weren't for Renee Brown, you know, it would have been hard. You know, you guys saw the 30 for 30, how tough it was to play for Tara. But I know Renee was there to be a support to the athletes. And
Oh, yeah,
you know,
for sure.
yeah, for sure. But
And Ray,
anyway,
I
did
text you
I
that
answer your
commercial.
question, Susan? Go ahead.
I text you that commercial just in case. I just texted to you.
Oh yeah, I got it. Don't worry. It'll be on the show.
Oh, did that answer your question?
Yes, you did a phenomenal job. Just you know, you really elaborated more on just the whole concept of the patriotic feeling, not just as a Nike athlete, but that Nike athlete in that USA uniform and everything that goes along with that in representing the product and representing the marketing and just representing the brand and what all those tremendous athletes went through. I mean, Crystal Robinson, you know Crystal Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can remember we were in Tel Aviv, Israel. We had just taken a tour on the streets of Jerusalem. And it was Sylvia Crowley, Charlotte Smith, Tina Thompson, and Crystal Robinson.
Just text me. Yeah.
And you know, I would say shekels in the bank. We would be in workouts, shekels in the bank or L'chaim in the bank, meaning you could get shots up, you can knock those shots down. We just leave the village in Jerusalem to get back to the hotel in Jerusalem is bombed.
Right. Scary moments.
Scary moments. And these kids are away from home. They're 18 and 19. They've never traveled abroad. So they're learning and going through that whole process of being away in another world. And so the teaming and the caring.
Yeah. And one other thing I want to add to the team thing and the caring thing is that these athletes wanted to make, I can't say enough about Teresa Edwards and Katrina McLean. We often don't talk about them like we should, but they lost that gold medal 4 years earlier. And for them to know that they're going to win that for those two. And I think that is an amazing, just amazing. But you know what? The leaders on that team were Teresa and Katrina.
Yes.
And Ruthie can tell me otherwise, but I feel like they led that team.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, they was a leader for sure on that team. Yeah. And everybody respected them too, because they've been there, done that. So we had a lot of love and a lot of respect for them, you know. So yeah, for sure. They were definitely the anchor. And, you know, Tree, she's just, you know, she's quiet and she just get the job done. But but they both was just like, you know, we respect they've been there. When they spoke, they called a meeting or call a hug, you know, we definitely, our ears was open.
Yeah.
I certainly believe we're in the 50th anniversary of Title IX. There's a lot to celebrate, celebrating the evolution of how women's sports has unfolded, still unfolding, taking a seat at many tables in the boardroom, sitting in the boardroom, running the boardroom. There are multiple documentaries that are surfacing, unfolding, producing. That certainly is evidence of women's sports that has surfaced, that are unfolding, that are being produced, that are coming out, that are unfolding in 23, that have 30-30, ESPN. There are so many. And that is certainly evidence and relevance of how powerful this women's game and women's sports is, and the impact it has and is having on media.
Right. Well, and it also is starting to show up in management too.
Yeah.
We are seeing women become part of ownership groups. The Las Vegas Raiders just hired a woman today. The president of the Las Vegas Raiders, first Black woman to ever do so. So you're starting to see that, and everybody knows Karen on this, but she was invited to be part of the ownership group of the Kansas City Royals. The first Black independent woman,
Right.
Which means she used her money. So you see things happening that are just amazing. It's incredible. It's awesome. But anyway.
Yeah, Raye, I want to be thoughtful with your time. I just want to ask you one more question. Well, two more, but are we going in the right direction in terms of, is it just simply a matter of following the lead of you and what everyone before the people today in leadership positions are doing and their strength in numbers? Or is there something more that we have to do, not only in sports and in women's basketball, but as a country? Because sports has always been a replica. The locker rooms have always been a replica of how you put your differences aside and come together for a common purpose, to be selfless and get the job done. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we've come a long way. We still got a long way to go. I feel like Becky Hammon is one of the best coaches, period. It doesn't matter whether she's coaching men or women. And I think that we need to start, I'm hoping that we get somebody like Becky that's going to become that first woman coach. It's kind of like we haven't had a woman president, the United States. So we have a long way to go. I think that there are attitudes still out there about women, about African Americans and minority groups. And I think we got to just keep overcoming them and keep battling, and things keep rising up. And you're just like, I thought we took care of that. And it's there. It just keeps coming up. And we keep pushing it down. It keeps coming up, keeps pushing down. And, but I think I have hope in the young people. Yeah. Because they are speaking out. Right. They're getting involved. They're getting engaged. And I have hope in some of these in the sports world that they are including women at the table on the court, on the ownership group. They're allowing women to be assistant coaches in the NBA. So I see it happening. And I think we got to just keep going up that hill. Anyway, it's a lot better than it was.
It is. But I do think there needs to be more white allies like you, Judy, Dr. Lapchick. That's why I've been very critical of Tom Brady and all the NFL quarterbacks that are white that do not speak out enough in these spaces, because their platform is 1,000,000 times more than any platform in the world of sports. And so all we can do is continue to be ourselves. And you speak to the epitome of being your authentic self. And when you're your authentic self, your body of work speaks for itself. And it's been truly an honor to have you in the Sports Deli. And if anybody else has any parting words, I know a couple of you, Adrian, if you want to share any thoughts, Molly, I can't thank you enough. Machine Gun Molly, ladies and gentlemen. And anybody else, for the good of the cause. Yes.
That's a great show, Michael. Everybody just had some really thought-provoking things to share. So I appreciate it. I appreciate getting the opportunity and the platform to hear these important messages.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Molly was on our show before. And, if you don't know part of her story anyways, she's a testament to, how it was back in the day, fighting for your kids. And because of a program cover promoting women's professional basketball, she lost, the opportunity to parent her kid temporarily, and what she had to go through to fight, to be a mom and for her kid is in and of itself an extraordinary story. So if you haven't checked that out and read about that, you should, because it's amazing. Besides her basketball prowess, she was a baller. She could score.
Still holds the record in women's professional basketball.
Absolutely. Okay, so Raye, if you could have any, let's see, how many do you want, Elizabeth? 5, 4, 3, 2. If you could have anyone at your dinner table, let's say 3, let's split the difference, that you'd never met before, and you met a lot of people, and dead or alive, who would you have at your dinner table?
Wow, what a question.
I should probably ask you also people that you've met before, because it would be interesting to have people that you've met and then you versus people that you haven't met. That would be really interesting.
I gotta tell you, one of the best dinners I had was with these ladies right here in Lucia Harris.
Oh,
and I was so looking forward to getting back with her, because the conversations that we had, and I hope you all taped it. Somebody has it on their phone, right? That was amazing. It was simply amazing. I wish I had known her before she passed away sooner. And I've also been watching these first ladies have been running. Have you guys been watching the documentary on the first ladies and how
no, but I want to.
Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you, I just think it is just amazing what they did to help their husbands get through. Lady Bird Johnson wrote her husband's speeches, and I'm like, and then she'd say, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm like, oh my God. But you know what? I would love alive Michelle Obama. I think that'd be great. I'd love to meet Oprah. I think what they have done has been simply amazing. And on a personal note, I would love to go back and meet. I wish I could have something with my grandmother that passed away when she delivered my mother and the twin. The twin died too. I would love to go back and just see some of my family members. That's what I'd like to do. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, if she got some collard greens, whether she invite me now, I'm sitting at the table.
You make the best collard greens here. I'm just telling you, you need to come back to Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, anytime you guys want to come back on the show, or you have any thoughts about anybody that you think would be, a good fit to keep the conversation going, we've done our best to try and create a safe space and to honor especially amazing SHEros and queens, people that have done it when it wasn't popular and it was hard, and that's why it's easier for people now to do what they're doing. And they need to know the history, like Elizabeth always talks about. Rick Barry talked about that also. Even the NBA players don't truly know what it was like to be an NBA player back in the day. And so we need to make sure that they're all aware and humbled by that, because the game is bigger than all of us.
Yes,
it is. And thank you all for having me. I appreciate every one of you. I just think you guys are amazing. And I just feel honored to be here. And thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. I really do. And thank you for your heart. That's great. I love that you're being an advocate.
Amen. Yes. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I just want
Thank you, Michael.
I'd like to just share a quote in honor of Raye. It's by Helen Keller. Alone, we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And we need to, together as women advocates of moving this game forward as high as it can go, we need to continue to do that. The WBL coming into the light of the WNBA, just like the ABA is already in the light of the NBA.
True.
We need to continue to empower this process and follow your lead, Raye. This is your legacy. Your legacy is our platform.
Amen. Nicely said.
Amazing. Raye, any parting words?
No, I wish I had kind of known that this was going to happen. I just appreciate it so much. I just like it was happening. I thank you all for everything, and I appreciate it. And one thing I would say about my career at Nike, it was a team. It was a team of women for the most part. And they really made it happen. And so I appreciate them as well and thank them. And anyway, and thank you all. You guys have been one of the biggest joys that I've had in the last couple of years. I've loved each and every time we've spent together. And you all know that they're going to honor Coach Washington November 18th, 19th, and 20th in Lawrence. And I hope that you all put it on your calendar and come support that great lady, because what she's done has been amazing. So anyway, you got that, Ruthie? You going to pop on a plane?
Oh, I got time. I was like, yeah, hey, I got to plan in advance.
Yeah.
You had to tell me way in advance for me to do stuff. Yeah, I'm good. Hey, count me in.
All right.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Elizabeth, I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done, in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, for the sport of basketball, but just for women. You're exhausted, you're recovering from knee surgery. I mean, you're amazingly inspiring woman, and you've always been about empowerment and the greater good and paying it forward. And that's really the most amazing thing that I can say is I've learned from you, having had you on here 3 times and getting to know you. So I appreciate you so much for teaching me so much about women, Black women, sport of basketball, and anything I can ever do. You guys know that all you got to do is call, let me know, I'm there.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for allowing us to come together like this. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all. All right.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Raye.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Congratulations, Raye.
Much love, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Retha, Adrian, Molly.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michael.
All right, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye.
You guys thought that was going to be the end of it. Well, we have an additional almost 28 minutes. And as promised, here is that commercial with Ruthie Bolton.
Mighty Ruthie. Mighty Ruthie. Mighty Ruthie. Mighty Ruthie. She is infantry. She is infantry. Serving our country. Serving our country. I want a gold medal. I want a gold medal. The gold medal. Gold medal. We are number one. We are number one. Number one in USA. Number one in USA.
So we have some bonus content for you. Molly Kasmer was so kind to stay with me after everybody jumped off the podcast, and I wanted to take the opportunity to talk to her and surprise Elizabeth in particular because of her tireless work in this space of advocacy, empowerment, and making sure that everyone remembers the history of professional women's basketball. So, Molly, thanks for joining us, and hope you guys enjoy this conversation with Molly and I in honor of Elizabeth McQuitter, president of Legends of the Ball. Thanks, Molly, for popping in. I appreciate it.
Glad to do it. I was running 100 miles an hour, but thank you so much. Well, thanks for everything you're doing. It's really given us a great platform. We're very appreciative, and you're spot on about Liz. She's amazing.
Oh.
She inspires me every day. I can't believe what she accomplishes. And I just put myself first in line to cheer her on and support her because the sacrifices she makes and the way she just plows on, no matter, she just says, they won't take my soul because the nose and the door slammed in our faces and stuff. So she never quits. She never quits. So
no, she's an amazing advocate, and she's so passionate about the importance of paying it forward and people knowing the history of the game. And some people just understand how important it is to leave, because we're living in a time leave the legacy on so many levels, so many eras, and so many decades. Because we're living in such a different time now. So as much as the young people are going to advocate in a different way, it's also a me, instant gratification. you know, time. And so that part is not necessarily going to get done unless people like her who truly understand it. And, you know, the people that fought for Title IX and everything, you know, are there to lay the foundation. So it's etched in stone.
I think she's going to have a really significant impact at all levels. You know, she's trying to do the recognize your college trailblazer, know your WNBA history, or they're the new forgotten if you don't honor and remember your history. So what she's starting with the WBL is definitely, you know, influencing the other levels of the sport for women, because it's all about honoring what's come before you and recognizing them and getting inspired by it. Because how do you get inspired by a story if you've never heard it before? You know, and
I mean, how many World War II stories do we hear still, even to this day?
Oh yeah,
that we never knew about. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing.
As a matter of fact, that you said that, I just saw this thing. I forget what I was watching. I think it was just one of those shows on Discovery, but this guy had faked a pandemic to keep the Nazis from taking over these Polish villages. Wow. And he figured out a way to fake a pandemic that they would test positive for a disease so that the soldiers wouldn't come kill them and take them away. And he saved them. He saved something like 8,000 people because he discovered a way to give a false positive for this virus. It was amazing.
Oh my God.
So you're talking about all these stories coming out, you know, all these years later from World War II. I was just sitting there going, oh my gosh, that is so amazing.
So amazing, so inspiring. And that, you know, she didn't want to be on ESPN just to be on ESPN. It was to, you know, along with the 1976 Yale rowing team, you know, so people really understood what it was like and what it is like now.
Right. And, you know, she said such dynamic things that they used them for shorts and for, you know, throughout the entire documentary and the different parts of it. They brought her in and some of her quotes because she just, you know, just nails it. Nails it. And we've all learned so much from her. So you're talking her number one fan. I'll fight anybody to be her number one fan. I love her to death, man. She's amazing. I do.
Oh, amazing. I really wish I would have started on the women's side. I was on the men's side 15 years, and this is my 15th year on the women's side. And
wow,
it's just such a different energy and vibe and collaboration. And I just wish I had, you know, seen things for what they are earlier, because I would have probably been better off in the fight, you know, back then, just because of my personality and that type of thing. But, you know, better late than never, I guess.
Absolutely. And you know, speaking of that, back when we were playing in the pro league, we didn't have the women's support like we should have had and like they do now. I mean, we would literally go to gay bars, and because they treated us better than anybody. Amazing. But as far as supporting us, cheering for us, treating us like we were pro athletes, you know. But as far as the general society of women, it just was not there.
Well, they were probably judging you too, just because you should have been a stay-at-home wife.
Possibly. I'm not really sure what it was, but I've been asked before, who was your fans back then? And if you looked in our crowds, we had a mix. We had men, we had boys. You know, there were grandparents there. There was little kids. So, I mean, you couldn't really pinpoint one dynamic for that, because they were so mixed up. But what I felt like we really missed, though, was that women supporting women, and we're still fighting for that now, really.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I think this whole thing with the Supreme Court, what's going on, it's really knocked a lot of females upside the back of the head, going, "Hello, wake up! You know, it's time to stick together here and stand strong if you're going to have any rights going forward." You know. And even though we already had a lot of activists, I think it probably inspired a lot more to step up, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That could have been a whole show by itself.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I like seeing, you know, the activism of the WNBA and how they especially, you know, they have the whole women supporting women thing, because I didn't feel that we had that in our day. You know, we were still just trying to knock down the doors of society to get them to accept us for, as athletes.
Yeah, and you could wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
But now you can't. And that, well, you can't wrap your head around, even if that's your personality, because of what people like you did and everyone that I talked about earlier. You just can't do that. You have to speak out now, because it's not hard, like I said, as hard. And that's why I'm so frustrated by the white male, football players and their lack of support for women, for Black women, and this space, because it would go so much further.
Yeah, the guys with the biggest platforms. Yeah.
Biggest
no doubt. I think we've always seen NBA men support us.
Yes.
Even in those documentaries you had, Oscar Robertson saying things. There's quotes from Wilt Chamberlain. There's quotes from Julius Erving supporting the WBL. I mean, those things are things we're really proud of, is that the men were always there for us, of saying you should go watch these women play. They could play. No, they're not dunking the ball. No, they're not hanging in the air, but it's exciting and it's entertaining.
Yeah, but Molly, this is better than I do. Timing's important, right? And so when the WNBA players, supported Reverend Warnock in 2020, the timing was important. Forcing Kelly Loeffler out, the timing was there.
Right.
People have advocated,
and that was gutsy. That was so gutsy.
Gutsy. But people have advocated before. And so when you see things happening, like another African-American man killed, why? That's the time to speak out. How's that going to hurt you? And so those are the things that are frustrating, because timing's important when it comes to these things. Did you hear about one white quarterback speaking out when the Black guy was killed and 60 bullets were inside of him?
Oh, no.
You don't hear anything. They're silent, and their silence is deafening. Yeah. And so that just can't continue to happen. It can't just be Gen Z and the kids speaking out, and the trans community. It has to be it's a white issue, and it has to be white male allies in large part, especially sports, because they're the ones that people listen to.
Right. And that's, that quote from Obama, I think it was in the 37 words, he just said people's voices are heard, and that's how change happens. So, but you have to have the ones that have the platforms that people are listening to on board with it all too. You're right. It's these, these NFL quarterbacks that,
Never say a word collectively. Not Tom, not Peyton, not Eli. I can't even believe I got this in today. I didn't think I was going to get it in, but I get it in every episode talking about this thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Not Aaron, not Roethlisberger, he just retired. Nobody, not Troy Aikman, none of the white announcers. They're all silent. They say nothing collectively. Do you know how much star power those guys have collectively?
Oh, big time.
Even if just Peyton, one of them said something.
I know. Peyton's got his media company's becoming a conglomerate. I was on Vince Carter's show, and he just keeps expanding game shows. I mean, you name it. He's got such power with the media right now.
Says nothing.
Says nothing.
Says nothing. It's just truly amazing. And nobody's gotten a hold of them and said, dude, like, congratulations, good for you, but what the fuck
Use
are
it
you
for
doing?
good. Yeah. Use it. Use your power for something good.
Well, we could talk forever about that.
He seems like a good guy, but I don't know. I mean, has he not been approached? I mean, I don't know.
I don't give a shit how good of a guy you are. You have an opportunity to, all you got to do is say anything. Just say anything in the space that has to do with women, Black women, or Black men and systemic racism.
Right.
Why is it hard? I don't understand why it's hard. Like, you're a private person, or you don't want to ruin your brand, or like what? Like that's what Raye embodied, right? She didn't care. She just did what was right, and she was just her authentic self. So how is that not your authentic self?
Right.
Putting your name behind something that's an injustice, and it has been for so long. And now it's not hard. It's literally not hard to speak out.
You're right, because people have, taken the brunt of it, You know, I mean, like Colin Kaepernick, holy shit. I mean,
Are you kidding me?
what
Colin
he
Kaepernick?
went through, and then I even have my own relatives. I'm just like, I'm from a big family. So there's 6 of us, and half of my relatives are, you know, bashing anybody that stands up for, you know, Black lives or anything. And I'm just like, I don't even get it.
I got a lot of those too.
It's been really, really hard to realize that there's certain states you can't live anymore. There's certain relatives that you just don't have anything in common with anymore. And, you know, it's just really, it's a sad state of affairs.
It is. Yeah. Well, and that's what being in the space that you guys were in taught you in part was do not mess with marginalized spaces and communities and people, because they will be the ones that advocate the most for others that are being marginalized. And it's the ones with white privilege, you know, a lot of times that just never have understood it.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons.
All
right. Well, man, it was great talking to you,
Michael.
Yeah. Anything
Sorry,
I can
you know,
do.
that day that we were on, that time I was doing an open house, and
that was awesome.
You know, I sold that place in like 3 days. So yeah.
Awesome.
It wasn't for that open house. I actually had somebody buy that property for $1.7 million, sight unseen, closed with all cash.
Yeah, let's go.
And yeah, it was awesome. I know, but I had 30 people come through my open house, and there was funky things wrong with that house, and everybody poo-pooed it because they saw it. But these people just bought it, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
Let's
go.
Okay,
let's do this.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's phenomenal. All right.
Well,
On that note.
with you.
Okay, you too. We'll talk soon. All right.
Okay. Take care, Michael.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, Machine Gun Molly, ladies and gentlemen, that was amazing. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us. Boy, that was phenomenal. Great job, and much love to everyone. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Stop the bullying. Stop the Asian hate. Contact your local and state politicians for any inequalities, for any individual or any group that's being marginalized. Also, everyone, we want to raise awareness for those individuals that are currently imprisoned for non-violent offenses, in particular those with long-term sentences that are disproportionate, in particular to those people in the Black and brown community. And I want to send a shout out to 40tons.co. 40 Tons is a socially conscious cannabis brand, and they're a social enterprise using the regulated cannabis industry to fight injustice, in particular for cannabis prisoners. So check them out again at 40, the number 4, the number 0, tons, plural, 40tons.co, because what they're doing in the cannabis space and being a socially conscious company is truly incredible, and they have my full support. And also wanted to remind all of you, if you're having a tough time, you can always call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that number is 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, and they are available 24/7, 365 days a year. You can also always check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at Mike Hootner. Thanks again to our amazing sponsors, Breaking Tea, Sport RX, PSK Collective, City Lokes, and Moolah Kicks, which you can see right here up on the screen. You can search them online at breakingtea.com, sportrx.com, pskcollective.com, moolahkicks.com, and citylokes.com. And if you'd like to support us at the Sports Deli, we'd love to have you either make a one-time donation or feel free to make a donation monthly, either 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. If you have questions about that, send me an email again to thesportsdeli@gmail.com, and I will send you the link on how you can do that. You can also find it at the bottom of every podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Link at the bottom to support the show. Please check out our website at thesportsdelipodcast.com. Make sure that we continue the conversations with regards to 3 strikes and you're out and mandatory minimums, especially people that are in jail for non-violent offenses. So those things need to change. And remember, gents and ladies, please remember to do your monthly self-breast examinations. And remember, guys, this afflicts about 1,500 men annually, with about a third of those resulting in death. So we want to make sure that we do our monthly self-breast examinations, both men and women. And guys, remember to do your self-testicular examinations every month as well. Until next time, remember, it takes a village. For Dr. J and Coach K, I'm Hootie Hoot. This has been a production of Hootie Hoot Productions. Thank you for joining us in the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. Remember, it takes a village. Much love, everybody. Peace. Hey everyone, if you stuck around this long, here's some additional content for you from this amazing podcast. Enjoy these outtakes, everybody. Much love. Karen Daniels here? Oh my God.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Karen. Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is Raye. Karen's not on today.
Oh, I was going to say, if Karen's here, Elizabeth pulled a fast one on me.
Karen has been using, I think Karen's been using my computer. How do I change that?
Oh, you know what? You probably just have to go into settings and just into your Zoom settings, like, and then eventually, you know, you can just change who's using it at that time. But it's good though. It keeps people on their toes. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Retha.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Great to see you again.
Well, I apologize, but I'm not to be seen today.
No worries.
How do I look? I don't know. There we go.
You gotta hit the yeah, there you go.
There we go. Shoot.
Yes. Oh, the legend.
Well, it looks like the other legends are up there. I see Susan Summons. Aretha.
I see Ray Pond, but I see Mike Food Productions. Thanks for inviting me and allowing me to be at the table with you today with Ray Pond and all of these other great legends.
Oh man.
You're the man.
No, yes. I'm not the man. I'm just a bridge and an ally. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm late to the party, but better late than never.
Absolutely. Some of the best people coming to the party late make the party.
Isn't that right?
That's true.
That's so true.
It's good to see you, Ray.
Good to see you, Susan. Hey, Eileen Hauser.
Hey, Susan.
Hi, Eileen. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, Eileen. Hey, Ree.
Hey, Liz.
Hello, Ree.
Hello.
Oh my goodness. Boy, this is this is becoming something that I don't even have words for it. Holy moly. Hey, Ruthie.
You got Ruthie on?
Hey.
Hey, Ruthie.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the invite.
Oh,
hi,
heck
Tiffany.
Yeah.
Hello, Mighty.
Liz. Hi, Ray.
Who's that?
Hello, Mighty Ruthie.
How you doing?
Fine. How you doing?
Who was that? Hey, Susan. How you doing, lady?
Oh, amazing.
I see you making it happen.
Hey, just like you making it happen. That's what we do. We're mighty and we have that mighty soul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray.
Hey, Ruthie. How you doing?
I know where you at. I've been in that room.
Right?
We could talk about that room for hours. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I finally got
I-
everything out of I used to have all this in boxes in the closet, but
Wow.
it's out now.
It
That's what
is.
I do, Ray. I have it all in boxes in the closet. I don't have a big enough house to put it anywhere.
Hi, Eileen.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. Oh, let me put my camera on. That would help.
I think Elizabeth's making another secret deal right now as we
Oh,
speak.
there I am. I didn't realize.
Eileen.
How are you, Ruthie? Good to see you.
Oh,
my
good. Good to see you too.
friend.
Look at these legends.
How you doing, Liz?
These are some legends. Look at Adrian.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Adrian.
Hey,
I always loved your background, Ray.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I decided to do it here today, so I'm excited. It took a long time getting this. Everything, like Eileen says, has been in boxes for years. So,
Yeah, it's put together nicely.
yeah, Ruthie's is the first jersey, number 6. I put her the first person, right?
Who did we lose? Elizabeth?
Yes.
We'll wait another minute to see if a couple more people. Oh, there she is. Elizabeth, are you anticipating anyone else from the legends of the ball?
We never know.
You never know. Oh, wow.
I think that's probably it.
Nope.
Molly on?
I think Elizabeth's pulling some sneaky things today. She's pulling out all the stops.
Yeah. Is your video, your audio on? Let me fix
It shows that Elizabeth's audio's on, but she's working some backdoor deals right now. Eileen, how are you doing today? You feeling better?
Hopefully I should be good today.
Absolutely.
I'm supposed to be on a red eye tonight, so I'm
Right.
I gotta be good to go.
Wow.
Elizabeth, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Anyone else that you're anticipating? Because there may be people
I
that
thought Molly. Yeah, we can go ahead. I thought Molly was getting. I was waiting for Molly, and I know Char was going to try, but she's at work. So
yeah.
And Annie was gonna. I didn't hear back from Annie, so we're good. I think.
Okay, I'll do a brief intro. I'm not going to intro everyone until post-production because we're here to honor all of you. I am, but we're here today really to honor Raye and what she has meant, especially this year on the 50th anniversary of Title IX. And so I'll do a brief intro, and I know a couple people have to get out of here early. Their time is limited, but I can't thank you enough. I haven't got nervous for many of these podcasts before, but there's a few that I have. Jay Billis was one. I was so nervous because that was early on in this journey when we pivoted after, the murder of George. And, I met Elizabeth, I think I told her originally by accident. I was actually researching Coach Hughes, and she came up somehow, during my, vetting of Coach Hughes, and, sort of know the rest of the history with that, but let's rock and roll. All right. Thanks again, ladies. And for all of you who have joined us today, thanks again, whether you were watching or listening. Until next time, much love, everybody. Peace.